So with handguns, we have 3 different reloads. We have an emergency reload, we have a tack reload, and we have a combat reload. The first one we're going to talk about is an emergency reload. So an emergency reload, again, some shit has gone down where you have expended all ammo inside of your magazine and this gun has gone to slide lock. And now you need to still finish the problem and you need to get ammo back into this thing as fast and as efficient as possible. So again, I have my hands on this Glock where my thumb is going to depress the magazine release. For me, with my hand positioning, I am able to depress the magazine release from my shooting platform. So again, if I'm on target and I have expended all 19 plus 1 rounds in this gun, I'm going to depress the magazine release with my strong side thumb, allowing the magazine to fall free from the gun. That's the first step, right? Is getting my thumb on the magazine release to depress it to get the magazine out of the gun. As I am depressing the magazine release, I'm trying to keep my firearm oriented in a horizontal plane, right? Let gravity work for you, not against you. Or, gravity allows things to fall to the ground freely. Conversely, if your firearm is pointed up towards the sky and you press the magazine release like I'm doing right now, this thing is not coming out of the gun. You start seeing people do the shake, rattle, and roll to try to flick this out of the gun. It's not efficient for movement. It's not efficient in the aspects of, hey, I'm trying to flick the gun out, so now your mag well is faced away from you, as then you're trying to come back with your support hand reloading the gun. From the top, gun has gone to slide lock. I'm going to depress the magazine release with the mag well faced towards the ground as I'm bringing it into my quote-unquote workspace, right? As I come down, I'm going to index my magazine from my magazine pouch where I can guide the magazine into the magazine well. Again, bullets are facing forward, they're not backwards, because this is not a very efficient motion if this was my handgun to try to orient my wrist or try to twist my wrist. Bullets forward, pointer finger towards bullets. I'm now pointing towards the mag well where I want this to go. From the top, all steps again. Aimed in, gun has gone to slide lock. I'm going to depress the magazine release, get that new magazine up into the mag well and insert it. As I am doing that, I'm going to station my thumb or position my thumb on top of my slide stop. So as I'm inserting that magazine into the magazine well, I am pressing the gun into that slide stop, thus sending the slide forward. That's one of 3 options to send the slide forward. So again, I'm up, I can stage my thumb as I insert, or I can insert, come over, then depress my thumb, or I can insert, come up with my support side thumb, kind of like a 1911 style platform, depress, or I can come over the top and slingshot it, all right? So there's a couple different methods for you guys to send the slide forward. The most efficient one for me, again, is to stage my thumb on top of the slide stop. I'm not trying to time it where, oh, yep, the magazine's in there and trying to send it forward. Well, is it in there? Did it? Like, I have tried to time it and I've sent the slide forward without the magazine being fully seated, thus leaving me with an empty chamber. So when I go to my re-engagement, I get a click instead of a bang, all right? So that's the emergency reload, right? Gun has gone to slide lock, no more ammo in the magazine. It's still time to do work, so we need to get that magazine out of the gun and get more ammo as fast as possible. So the next type of reload we're gonna talk about is a combat load. So again, I have just gotten into an engagement. I am a gun gamer, and I need to get more bullets back up into this gun. But there's still something partially in this magazine, but I don't need it anymore. I don't need to retain it on my person. I can just discard it on the ground. So again, it's just here, and it's the same as an emergency reload, besides the slide lock into the rear. So I'm here, depressing the magazine release, allowing that partial magazine to fall to the ground as I go to that next magazine on my belt or my pouch or wherever it is to come up and reload. So again, that was a partial magazine. I just let it go to the ground. I'm just gonna do the same reloading technique, coming up, reinserting, and going. The only thing different between a combat load and an emergency reload is that you just expended a partial magazine onto the ground. You're not retaining it, and there's still a bullet in the chamber that you're ready to re-engage as quickly as you reload. The last we're going to talk about, guys, is going to be a tack load. So we just talked about emergency reloads, we just talked about combat loads, now it's tack load. The difference between a tack reload and a combat reload is that you're going to retain the partial magazine somewhere on your person. So giving context on why we would differentiate between a combat load versus a tack load. A tack load is you're retaining the partial magazine on your person. So again, context of, hey, I'm a concealed carry person, I only have one magazine on my person, extra magazine, I only have one in the gun. You need to retain that partial magazine, because if you ditch it, you only have what's left in the gun. Likewise with law enforcement, right? If you've gone through a foot chase and you've lost magazines on your belt or something like that, you might only have one more on your belt plus what's in the gun. It's imperative to retain the ammo on your person, all right? So I'm gonna demonstrate of what a tack load is. So again, I've gotten into an engagement. There is a partial magazine in my gun. I want to plus up my gun to a full magazine. What that's going to look like is I'm going to get my quote unquote least accessible magazine. So me on patrol, I'm going to go furthest away from center line. Again, that's going to be the least accessible magazine. I want to set up my first one from center line as my quote, speed reload. All right, so again, I just got into an engagement. I have time and cover to be able to conduct a tack load. Yep, I have time and cover. I'm going to bring it into my workspace, access that next magazine, that full magazine. I'm going to create kind of a cigar grip, right? So I'm able to manipulate this extra other magazine in my gun, right? So again, I have a cigar type grip. I'm able to then use my index and thumb to release the partial magazine in the gun, reinsert the full magazine, and fully seat it in the gun. So again, just in reverse, I have this partial magazine. I'm going to take it and put it back into the gun. See how simple that is, right? Cigar grip, taking it in, have that firm seat, and I'm going to take this partial magazine and stow it back on my person. Retaining that magazine might be in a pocket, it might be in a pouch, it might even be just stuffed into your belt line. Just understand like, hey, you still might need to get this magazine at some point in time, right? Say I got into another engagement and this magazine is now completely empty and I'm trying to do an emergency reload. Well, like, okay, well, I'm gonna come from my belt line of that partial magazine and put that back in. This next drill we're gonna do is 1R1. What is that? It's 1, reload, 1. Why would we do this? Well, it helps us practice obviously our emergency reloads and our firearms manipulations. It helps also establish our grip and our fundamentals that we have been working on all day already, right? It helps solidify things in motion. So how I set this up, I have 1 round in a magazine and I have everything else ready to go on my belt line. All right, so again, I have inserted a magazine that had 1 round in the chamber. I have since chambered that, so I have an empty magazine in my gun. What the drill, again, is going to be is from a relaxed or compressed ready, on the up command, I'm going to present the firearm, not forgetting our basics of building our grip, breaking that shot, allowing the slide to come back, lock, and I'm going to go through an emergency reload procedure, dropping the empty magazine, getting a full magazine, inserting it, slide forward, and re-engaging with 1 more round. This drill is not usually done from the holster, right? You're trying to emulate, hey, I just got into an engagement to where I just had my last round expended and I need to get the gun back up in its full capacity, all right? So we don't run this drill from the holster. This is what it's gonna look like from relax ready. Amp by. This also helps get repetitions with tack loads. Right? So once the drill is complete, I have an empty magazine on the ground and a partial magazine in my gun. I have thus holstered. I can go ahead and get my magazine off the ground. When told to do so, I will go ahead and perform a tack load. So I'll get my gun back out, tack load in that empty magazine. So now I have a partial magazine. I'm going to put that back on my belt. Now this gun is set back up for the drill. 1 in the chamber and an empty magazine. I'll come back to relax ready. Up. As I came up, I was still setting my pins friction leverage, still broke that first shot, allowed the gun to come back, lock to the rear, then I went through the emergency reload procedure. After I came back and reload, I still established that grip to present the firearm back up and engage with one more round. You'll see guys go blazing fast for just raw time and their grip. They can get away with a partial shitty grip for that one round, but what happens if you have to engage more, right? That's why our next course of fire is going to be a 1 reload 5. That way it solidifies, hey, was my grip good to go after the reload? Most of the times when we run drills, we will see the miss is the first round out of the holster and the first round after a reload because of a compromised grip. All right, now we're gonna do 1 reload 5. Again, this is going to be from the relax ready, gonna be on the up command, coming up, presenting 1 round, slide's gonna lock to the rear, conduct an emergency reload, and then you're gonna follow up with 5 more rounds. Trying to keep them all inside of this rhythm circle, right? It's trying to establish our grip and making sure that things are where they're supposed to be after the reload, all right? So again, the setup is empty magazine in the gun, 1 round in the chamber. Magazines are fully loaded on the belt line from a relaxed ready. 1, reload, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Follow through, assess, and holster. And again, I can go ahead and set it up one more time. Taking that partial magazine, or sorry, the empty magazine, and conducting a tack load. Look at that, now I just tack loaded it back into the gun. I understand, hey, I got a partial magazine here, I'm just gonna just ditch that. This next iteration, I'm gonna come from this new magazine on my belt line. So, from the relaxed ready. 1, reload. 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys see the cadence that I am doing those next 5 rounds in? It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the aspects of the drill, it is trying to test the integrity of my grip. Again, it's trying to test the integrity of my grip after the reload. So one more time. From the relax ready, 1, reload,